Lighthouse Media, shining light on the truth.
H2, a visa program, a history of tending America's fields. The H2A visa program, a critical component of the United States agricultural sector, has a complex and often contentious history. From its roots in earlier guest worker programs to its current form, the H2A program has been shaped by the evolving needs of American agriculture, shifting immigration policies, and ongoing debates about labor rights and economic impacts. From the Bracero Program to modern legislation. The formal history of the H2A program begins with the Immigration Reform and Control Act, IRCA, of 1986. This landmark legislation created the H2A visa specifically for temporary agricultural workers, separating it from the H2 program, which had previously encompassed all temporary non-immigrant workers. However, the concept of a foreign guest worker program for agriculture was not new. The H2A program's most significant predecessor was the Bracero Program, which ran from 1942 to 1964. Initiated to address labor shortages during World War II, the Bracero Program brought millions of Mexican laborers to the United States to work in agriculture and on railroads. While it provided a much-needed workforce, the program was plagued by criticisms of poor working conditions, low wages, and the exploitation of workers. The termination of the Bracero Program in 1964 left a gap in the agricultural labor market and set the stage for future legislative efforts. The IRCA of 1986 aimed to address some of the shortcomings of previous guest worker programs. It established a process through which employers could legally bring foreign workers to the U.S. for temporary or seasonal agricultural work, provided they could demonstrate that there were not enough willing and able domestic workers to fill the jobs. The act also included provisions intended to protect the wages and working conditions of both domestic and H2A workers. A program in constant evolution. Since its inception, the H2A program has undergone numerous regulatory and legislative changes. These modifications have often been in response to the growing demand for agricultural labor, concerns about the program's efficiency, and persistent issues of worker exploitation. The application process, a frequent point of contention for employers due to its complexity and cost, has been a recurring target for reform. Over the years, there have been efforts to streamline the process, including the introduction of electronic filing and changes to the timelines for submitting applications. Wage requirements have also been a central and evolving aspect of the program. The Adverse Effect Wage Rate, AEWR, is a key provision designed to ensure that the hiring of H2A workers does not negatively impact the wages of domestic farm workers. The methodology for calculating the AEWR has been subject to change and debate, with significant implications for the cost of labor for participating employers, explosive growth and shifting demographics. The use of the H2A program has grown exponentially since its creation. In its early years, the number of certified H2A positions was relatively modest. However, the 21st century has seen a dramatic increase in demand. This surge can be attributed to several factors. A declining number of domestic workers willing to perform arduous and often seasonal farm labor has created a significant labor shortage. At the same time, increased enforcement of immigration laws has made it more difficult for agricultural employers to rely on an unauthorized workforce. The geographic distribution of H2A workers has also expanded. While initially concentrated in a few agricultural states, the program is now utilized by farms across the nation. States like Florida, Georgia, California, and Washington are among the top users of H2A workers. The vast majority of H2A workers have consistently come from Mexico, continuing a long-established pattern of agricultural labor migration. Enduring controversies and criticisms. Despite its importance to the agricultural economy, the H2A program has been dogged by controversy throughout its history. Criticisms come from various perspectives. Worker advocates, labor organizations and worker advocacy groups have consistently raised concerns about the potential for exploitation and abuse of H2A workers. These concerns echo the criticisms of the Bracero Program and include issues such as substandard housing, wage theft, and workers being tied to a single employer, which can create a power imbalance and discourage complaints about poor conditions. Reports of H2A workers being subjected to human trafficking and forced labor have also surfaced. Farmers and agricultural employers. While reliant on the program, many farmers find the H2A process to be overly bureaucratic, expensive, and inflexible. The costs associated with recruitment, transportation, housing, and wages can be a significant financial burden. Delays in visa processing can also lead to workers arriving after the critical planting or harvest seasons have begun. Domestic worker advocates. Some organizations argue that the H2A program can depress wages and displace domestic farm workers. They contend that if wages and working conditions in the agricultural sector were improved, more domestic workers would be willing to take these jobs. The history of the H2A visa program is a reflection of the ongoing struggle to balance the labor needs of a vital American industry with the imperative to protect the rights and livelihoods of both foreign and domestic workers. As the agricultural landscape continues to change, the H2A program will undoubtedly remain a subject of intense debate and a focal point for future immigration and labor policy reforms.
Thank you for watching. You are awesome.